let me tell you just a little bit about my background. So I was raised Catholic, and my mom was absolutely wonderful. She made sure my brother and I were in church every single Sunday. Some of you know what that's like. Was baptized, First Communion, confirmation, and mom was like our foundation. And that Catholic upbringing truly was my foundation. It you really learn the Lord's Prayer, the Apostles' Creed, and it just gives you that to stand on. But there was something that was missing, and I really couldn't figure it out. I was with my husband my whole life, believe it or not. We have grown up together from kindergarten all the way on up, high school sweethearts, graduated together in a class of like 30 or something like that. But my husband had this, and his family had this amazing relationship with God that I just wanted so bad. And so after Byron and I, we got married in the Reformed Church. And after we got married, we moved out to Denver. And we were out there for a while. We joined a brand new Reformed church. They were so excited because they had their first little Dutch couple. I'm German, but I didn't tell them that. So anyway, I gave my life at a Bill Glass crusade. I don't know if any of you remember that. I'm really dating myself, but he came to Fond du Lac. He was I see some head shaking, yes. And it was just an amazing crusade. And it was at that time when I took that leap of faith and walked forward. And we all have our faith stories, right? I mean, I think every one of you can come up here and you can probably share a story that you've had where God has been with you in your life. I'm going to tell you about my faith journey that just happened this past year. It was in the midst of COVID, and I kept feeling this lump in my throat, and I would cough. And so I have my water. If I start coughing, forgive me. But I would cough, and my husband would say, "You have to get that checked out." I'm like, "It's a tickle." Well, the tickle went on for quite a while, and then finally I decided I needed to get the tickle figured out. So I went in and got tested. And I work at the hospital. And typically, when you're going to get the results back, you go into the doctor's office. Well, my doctor came into my office, so I knew there was a problem. And as he sat in my chair, he said, "Barb, I don't know how to tell you this." And I said, "It's cancer." And he said, "Yeah, but Barb, I've never heard of this cancer before." I said, "What do you mean you have never heard of this cancer? You're a doctor. You know everything." And he's like, "No, it's called adenoid cystic carcinoma." And he said, "It's a cancer of the saliva cells." And I went, "Okay, how long?" Right? It's the question we ask, how long? His answer was, "Google it." Now, he said Google it because he didn't have the answer. And he said, "But be careful when you Google it, because it only looks about 5 years." And so I felt like someone put a plastic bag over the top of my head and took one of those vacuum cleaners, was sucking all the air right out of it, because I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. And I just felt like I was trapped. And I remember calling my husband on the way home, and I didn't want to call him. I know that's the worst thing to do, but I had to call him, and I just cried all the way home to him, and he's crying on the phone, and but he kept saying, "We got this. We can get through this." And so those words of affirmation that he kept giving me, and that my daughter and my son and my son-in-law kept giving me, was absolutely, it gave me that faith, that strength that I needed to keep going. So with that, all I could do was ask for prayer, right? So I had to go in and I had to have surgery. And the amazing thing was, real quick, it's COVID. I have to do this alone. I can't have my family in with me. But because of COVID, the blessings of COVID, I know you don't hear that too often, but the blessings of COVID was I was able to get in to see that doctor within 1 week. And so he saw me right away. He said, Barb, we need to get this removed. I don't want you to worry about this. We're going to get it. You're not going to have any problems. And I'm thinking, you didn't Google it. But had the surgery, and I have a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of a control problem. And I was really worried about the surgery. I thought, until people started saying to me, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you. My father-in-law got up at 4 o'clock in the morning that morning and was praying for me. And I am telling you, I felt those prayers. I wish it's not words out of my mouth. It's true. There were prayers that carried me right through that surgery. I had no problems. I had no anxiety, nothing. I fought a little bit when I came out, but hey, that's how it is. But then I came home and recovered. Everything was fine. Then we had to start the radiation treatments. Can't do chemo because you really can't kill it. So I don't know, unless God's willing, I'll probably never be one of those people that say, I kicked it. But God can do amazing things. But then I started radiation. I didn't start it. I had to go through the process. Remember, I'm in there alone. And they tell me, Barb, we have to fit you with this mask, okay, because you have to hold real still. So fit me with the mask is what they were going to try to do. That lasted about a second. They take this big plastic sheet, they warm it up, they put it over your face. And they say it feels like a face massage. Not. It completely takes your breath away, and you have to sit there for 30 minutes while they're doing CT scans as this is forming around your face. I couldn't do it. I left, I called my husband, and I said, where's my faith? Where's my faith, Byron? I lost it. Where's God? I couldn't feel him. There was nothing. I couldn't do it. And he said, dig deep. We're so used to living life like this, aren't we? But when we really called to dig deep, that's a stretch. So with a little bit of medicine, I admit that. Little bit of medicine, I dug deep. It's not fun. It goes on you, you lay down, and you clamp yourself to the tables. How in the world is this control freak ever going to do that? Well, it was, again, the prayers. It was the nurses that sat in there and rubbed my legs. One nurse was by my side as they're molding it, and she's going, have you ever heard of the saint of cancer? I'm like, I don't know, I don't care, just tell me about him. And so they told me about Saint Pettigrew and how he healed people, but they just kept my mind busy, which was so important. I got the mask made, now the radiation had to begin. Radiation began, clamped me to the table, not good. But they did one thing to me. They piped in Christian music. Have you ever been clamped to a table and have no choice but to worship your God? It was the most amazing feeling. So when you see me standing over here on Sunday mornings and I'm going like this and it's because I've been clamped for so long. I have to raise my hands. But there are so many people along the way, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about just a little bit, is the journey. The journey would never have made it without people like you. I made it because of prayer. Aaron has talked this whole past 4 weeks about grace bombing. I beg you, grace bomb people. I would not have made it, without my father-in-law's prayers, without my church's prayers, without my family's words of just, my daughter would say, you got this. My son would say, Mom, don't worry, you've got this. Those little things that we do for people. I sat there and I had a cross all the time when I went through radiation treatments, and I held on to it. One day I forgot my cross. One of the girls in the room said, just don't worry, Barb. I said, no, I'm fine, I got this. And all of a sudden she slips into my hand. made out of tape. It's the little things in life that we do for people where we step out of our comfort zone, where we have to dig deep to help others. Please don't live life like this. Life's too short. Life's worth giving to others of what it's exactly what God has called us to do. We just promised that we were going to dedicate. We all stood here and said a couple words, didn't we? We said we will to dedicate a couple of those beautiful children. Are we really going to do that? Are we going to really dig deep and really pray? Because that's what they need, especially on Sundays when they're making so much noise over there. But honestly, that's my faith journey and that's my story. That's what I was taught through this, is that it's not about me. It's about how can we reach out and serve others. God took my hand the entire time. And Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, my child. Take a hold of my hand, for I am with you always." Truly, go out and grace bomb someone. They need it. Thank you.